What the f did I just watch?
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect.
Happy October, everybody. October is my favorite month, partly due to the fact that there's always so many great horror movies to go see, and I have not been to the theater in quite a while, but luckily I was able to go just recently to watch the new movie, The Substance. This one looked interesting enough. It stars Demi Moore, who I do like. I was first introduced to a Demi Moore movie when I watched Ghost, 1990 Ghost. My mom absolutely loves that movie, so she had us watch that always during spooky season when we were kids, because it's very tame. It's more kind of like a romance, a spooky romance. So it's a good one if you want a tame, spooky movie with Demi Moore for this Halloween season. However, The Substance is one that is quite interesting. It follows a fading celebrity named Elizabeth who discovers this kind of sketchy ad for something called The Substance, which promises a replicated, better, younger, more beautiful version of yourself. Some things are too good to be true, right? Sounding sketchy. But because she's a fading celebrity who seems quite lonely and definitely yearns for her younger years, she decides to take the substance, and things go south. So I do really like the concept of this movie. It explores beauty standards and the sad reality that many women feel as they age, and the great lengths that they will go to feel and look beautiful again, young again, fit again. I think that the themes of the movie do reflect society, at least a little bit, with the whole Botox filler injection craze that's been going on, which apparently women are now getting Botox, like preemptive Botox at 22. That's a thing. I mean, it makes sense why there is such this craze, especially in the age of social media where you have people spouting off about, women expire at 25, right? But there's obviously a point in which these treatments can actually have the opposite effect and make you either look much older or just botched at times, right? So The Substance really takes this concept to the next level and personifies it in the most grotesque way. It's actually really sad, to be honest, but it has an important message, which I do like. The acting in The Substance is all around pretty solid. Obviously, Demi Moore is great here, but a standout to me is actually Dennis Quaid, who plays Elizabeth's boss, her producer. His character is actually kind of bothersome, though, because one, he eats like a animal. It's horrid. And two, he's just an absolute who's out for money and out for the youngest, hottest girl who's going to give him the best ratings for his TV show. But I feel like this is a very different type of character for Dennis Quaid to play, which I really like for him. You know, I'm used to Dad Dennis Quaid, Parent Trap Dennis Quaid, The Rookie Dennis Quaid, Soul Surfer Dennis Quaid, so I feel like this role is a little bit out of his element, and I think he did really good, so I just enjoyed seeing him here. I think there's some really good tension in this movie as well. There's like this very slow process of our lead character becoming very unreasonably addicted to the substance, and no matter how terrible things get, no matter how grotesque things get, she still wants more. Nothing is quite good enough. I think that kind of reflects culture, to be honest, as we are right now. And she starts to live two different lives, and slowly she begins to really lose who she actually is, and she naturally wants to live the life of the better version of her. She actually also becomes quite jealous of the other her and who she's at this point completely separated herself from. So she blames the other her for doing harm, but really she's just harming herself because these two are one. So it's just a sad spiral of events, and eventually it's bound to go off the rails, right? If you are in that mindset of ruining your body in hopes of perfection and not even realizing it. And ultimately, she's gonna have to face herself, which is kind of an interesting dilemma to explore, and they do. One thing's for certain, if you like body horror, I think you'll really like this one. There's some great body horror in this. They do a really good job with it. It's executed well, from unnatural movements in the skin to pulling out teeth to mutations to pulling out a damn chicken leg from your belly button. Yeah, I think they did that. There are some disturbing violations of the human body in this one, and I think the body horror was nicely done for the most part. So if you like body horror, I think you'll like what they did here. Final thing that I really like about this movie is the camera angles and the shots, the bright, vibrant coloring, and also the music and the beats throughout the whole movie. I think these three aspects blended together quite nicely to create a pretty cool, modern atmosphere atmosphere. There are also a ton of close-up shots and ASMR, as they say, that are pretty effective in making you feel pretty uncomfortable at times. So I think the execution was pretty good on that front as well. So moving on to some critiques I have for this movie. There are some aspects, first and foremost, that I want to go over that don't make much sense or kind of had me questioning it in my head. For example, there's this scene where you see this super elderly person who can barely move, and then fast forward a couple minutes later, this same person is sprinting full speed down a hallway like they were on the damn track team in high school. Maybe it's the adrenaline, but they got some goddamn pep in their step. So a little bit unrealistic, and I noticed that. Secondly, our lead character built a door behind her bathroom, which happened to conveniently have a giant empty space behind it in an apartment building, and she miraculously knew how to build a perfect, level, modern, gorgeous door behind the bathroom by herself. I just didn't buy it, okay? These are two little things I just noticed that I wanted to point out, but the main issue I take with this film is the ending. So we're about to talk about the ending of this film. This is your spoilers alert. I'll have timestamps in the description of this video if you want to skip over the spoiler section, but if you don't, come with me and let's talk about the crazy ass ending. Let's go. So towards the end of the movie, our lead character is supposed to be hosting a New Year's Eve show as the better version of herself. However, right before she is about to go on, her body seemingly malfunctions, right? Her teeth are falling out, her nails are breaking, she's just falling apart both physically and literally and mentally. So she gets this idea of injecting herself yet again with the substance to get an even better version of her better self. Even though the bottle explicitly says, do not use more than once, discard right after you use it the first time. Of course, she disregards this warning and she takes the substance again. And oh goody, she spawns into a highly mutated, grotesque blob thing. It's bad. She then decides to take a picture of herself that she has hanging up, cut out her face, and then tape the picture of her face to her actual face. Okay. She then decides to go back to the show and host the New Year's Eve show as the mutated creature, which one is just kind of way out of character for her because she wouldn't even go on a date a couple months back because she couldn't get her makeup right and she thought she looked old and ugly. I mean, she really pulled the Grinch. Ooh, that's it, I'm not going, right?
That's it, I'm not going.
But she decides to go host this event. And then get this, I'm not joking, her arm spontaneously snaps and she spews blood all over the crowd. I mean, all over the crowd, everybody drenched. What the actual... Like, I have no words. I have no idea who made this creative decision to make her do these things. But it was so random, so ridiculous, in my opinion, and just weird, right? And then she walks outside, you know, the cherry on top. She falls over, her body, like, collapses and sinks to the floor. And then somebody had the dumbass idea to make her head become a moving blob and for her to float on the moving blob and then like sink away into the ground. You guys think I'm kidding? No, her face parallel to the floor, moving on a blob about an inch tall. Who thought this was a good idea? What a weird ass ending. That's kind of all I have to say about it. What the f? I thought it was stupid. I thought it was random and unfortunately, it ruined a lot of what was a really good movie for me. Like, the ending is a bit damning in my opinion. However, if you haven't seen the movie and just watched this spoiler section, I'm sure you're really excited to see the movie now. You're like, what the hell kind of description did Lindsay just talk about? What the hell am I gonna be watching in this movie? Yeah, what the hell? So guys, overall, I left this movie with kind of a somber, sad feeling, which I think was the point. It actually is very sad what happens and what unravels in this movie, but I think it makes a great point. While it's kind of unrealistic, it's sci-fi, I still think it's very culturally relevant and it has a pretty clear message that I like. If only they didn't f up the ending, right? And unfortunately, it's so damning for me. What would have probably been a 4.25 now is a 3.25 thanks to the ending. So I give this a 3.25 out of 5. Okay, average score 3.1. Okay, yeah, this one's polarizing. I think this one is polarizing, but 91% Rotten Tomatoes. I had a feeling this one would be ranked pretty high because, one, the acting, two, just how they did it in the body horror, it just looks really good. So yeah, you got 5s, 1s. It's hard to say. Again, the ending really brought the score really down for me. But listen, I really recommend this for people who love the subgenre of body horror. I think they did some really cool stuff here. I think those aspects also were very well executed. I also like the atmosphere and the message of it, so I recommend giving it a watch. But be warned, you might leave the theater saying, "What the f just happened?" Because that's definitely what I left the theater saying. But what did you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Was it good? Was it bad? What did you guys think of the ending? I would love to hear what you guys thought. Thank you for watching, and catch me next time.